Hey, Steve Worrall with OutdoorsFIRST Media. This morning we're going to unbox the new SeaKnight Treant II 1000H. Just received this while we were up at Andy Meyer's lodge last week shooting. This reel, we had asked SeaKnight to take a look at building us a reel in the 1000 size for game fishing, for ice fishing, and also for our crappies and lighter use on some of the lighter rods. Let's take a look. Lots of specs. Ah, that's nice. Has its own reel bag. So you get a protective bag with the reel. First glance, it's a good looking reel. Treant II 1000H, all metal, spool's metal. First thing I'm going to do is change the handle because I am left-handed. Pretty much standard on that. Simply remove the end cap, thread the handle into the other side, cap it off. Drag buttons on the bottom of the reel, nice place for it. Instantaneous reverse is nice. Reel is quiet. Seems quite smooth. It's going to palm real well. That's how you would hold it with an ice rod. So it's going to palm real well. That'll be a really good reel for pike and walleyes and some of the larger game fish that we chase during the winter. And for the high capacity line use that we'll need, like on Lake of the Woods where we're fishing real deep for crappies and walleyes, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it looks really good. Let's match it up on a Vexen rod. This is a Vexen bass rod. What I'm going to do is take this out and get some open water use on it. See if we can catch a few pike and walleyes over the next few days up in the North Country. Feels really good. 6.1 bearings with a dual bell bearing shaft. Slotted spool. Looks like it's braid ready. It's light. Overall, I think it's going to be a really nice reel. Let's spool it up. We got a spool of this actually on a promotion from SeaKnight not too long ago, and I tried the blade monofilament, was so impressed that I ended up buying a couple of more spools. The diameter on it is really, really good. Believe it or not, that is 10-pound test, and it's strong, right? Unbelievably strong. We just got back from a resort up in Canada and fished smallmouth up to 7 pounds, and lots of walleyes and pike, and I was very impressed with the line. Castability is really good, stretch is limited, and overall it handled the big fish that we caught really, really well. So that's what we're going to spool this up with. I got the line tied off on the spool. So once again, this is the blade monofilament. The reason I'm using monofilament is I'm going to go fish creatures, which is a lure that I actually came up with back in the 80s. And it's a jig with a soft plastic tail that's quite large for what most people would consider a walleye lure, but that's what I'm using it for, walleyes and pike. And I don't do as well with superline with the creature as I do with monofilament because I set the hook so fast. If a fish hits me with superline, sometimes before the fish actually has the jig in its face, I'm setting the hook. With a monofilament, I have a little bit more forgiveness. So let's spool this thing up. What you do is turn that spool over to make sure that that line is not twisting, and it is not. Just about out to the edge of the spool without exceeding the edge of the spool so it doesn't spring off the spool on its own. That's about a perfectly filled spool right there. Alright. Every man should be carrying a Swiss Army knife. We'll thread this up, get it rigged up, and show you what it looks like. Got a 7-strand leader here. Now, most people would say, really, you're going to use a leader for walleyes? Yes. I'm fishing musky water, and I get a large number of muskies on creatures. That's what the lure was initially built for, was bass and muskies, and it works. I've caught probably 25 muskies over my lifetime, over 50 inches using that bait. So, tie this leader on. I like the trilene knot. That's good. And this is the lure that I'm going to be fishing. That's a creature. It's in no fish yellow. It's made by Fliptail Lures. They're back in business. They were a company that I worked with back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, building soft plastic baits for muskies and bass, and had gone out of business, and it's been revamped and offered again. So if you're interested in picking up some creatures, just Google Fliptail Lures and they'll hook you up. Ask for no fish yellow. That on the leader. Already got it on my Vexen rod. This particular one is a V66, so it's a Vexen 6.6 medium heavy. So it's 6 foot 6 inches and is a medium heavy rod. The reason I'm using a medium heavy is I'm busting cabbage with this. I'm pitching this jig, this creature, up into the weeds, and whenever it hooks on a weed, I snap the rod tip real hard and pop it through. Lots of times that's when you get your hit. We'll put this on the hook keeper. Get the drag adjusted a little bit. It's a nice smooth drag. All set to hit the water tonight. We're going to head out on Pelican Lake up here in northern Wisconsin and see what we can do. Get after some walleyes and some pike, maybe even a muskie. We'll report back.